This might be the most profitable uncool business in America.
We started with $100 in a beat-up van. Now it's a $300 million empire.
See how two broke grads turn junk into a business empire and how you can too. Nick, what did people say when you told them you're going to quit your degree and haul junk?
They said you're going to quit your job to do what? Haul junk? And you're going to call it what? College hunks? Are you throwing away your college degree to start a trash business? Do you really think that's a good idea? So they definitely thought we were a little bit crazy. We won't let the doubters or the naysayers hold you back. Find people that are going to champion you. You know, you can't fly with eagles if you're walking with turkeys, and usually the turkeys are the ones that are telling you not to do it. So we're talking to my dad, and he just saw the energy and enthusiasm I had. And you hear people say, follow your passion. I mean, obviously we weren't passionate about hauling junk or moving, but what we got passionate about was kind of doing something for ourselves, being able to be the creator of our own path, having fun with the brand, the service we were providing. So when my dad saw that energy, he was a believer as well. Finally, he said, you know, I think it's time for you to go into this full time also.
I know the guy might say, I only have $500. Nick, what's the smartest way to spend it if I want to get into junk or moving business?
You know, I would spend it on renting a truck because you need a truck. And I would spend the rest either on low cost or no cost ads, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, some signs to put out to make yourself available, some flyers to stick in mailboxes, and you're into business and you get that first job, you start paying for itself.
Well, the team is rolling out right now. Let's go hop on the job site and see what they're doing.
Let's do it. So we charge based on volume, how much space it fills up in one of our junk trucks that you see here. So it could range anywhere from $99 on the low end for one item up to $500, $600 depending on the market for a fully packed truck, all inclusive of labor, loading, disposal time. So what we do is we give a free assessment to the client up front. This particular job was a rental property, had a bunch of junk in the garage that they wanted cleaned out. The team described to me that this would be about between a quarter and a half load. We'd be looking between $200 and $300 for the client, all in.
What's the margins on that then?
Really what we want to try to do is we want to keep our gross margins to be around 25%. Obviously, you factor in disposal fees, fuel, labor, and everything else that can increase. And we pride ourselves in being able to remove the junk from anywhere on the property. This happened to be a little bit easier job because it's all consolidated in the garage. But generally speaking, we're good rule of thumb is to target 25, 30%.
What's the minimum you'll take?
So we have a minimum rate to have our two-man team come out with the truck ready to do the work. It typically ranges, depending on geography, anywhere from $99 to $150. Usually becomes more cost effective the more stuff people have because it's charged based on how much space the items fill up in the truck.
For someone that's going to go out and get their first 10 customers of what you know now, what's the cheapest way to do that?
Word of mouth is the least expensive form of marketing. Parking the truck in visible locations, using flyers, a sign, and so forth. But just networking, going out and telling people what you do, knocking on doors, going to realtor events. All of those are very inexpensive ways to let people know what you do and what problems you can solve for them. We started out with just junk removal, helping people get rid of their unwanted items, taken to be disposed of or recycled, donated. And people would ask us to move all the time and we would turn away the business. In about 2008, 2009, we recognized there was a need. People kept asking us and we were trying to expand during the economic downturn, the housing crisis. And we said, why don't we expand the pie that we're servicing? Why not be more than just junk removal, but why not be trucks and labor that can remove people's junk as well as move them from point A to point B? I would say junk removal tends to have a little bit of a higher margin, but it has more alternatives. Moving is a higher in-demand business because you don't have as many of alternatives. When you're moving, you're either gonna do it yourself or you're gonna hire somebody. If you have junk, you might let it sit in your garage. You might try to slowly put it out on the curb. You might try to haul it away yourself. But if you value getting rid of stuff quickly, just not lifting a finger, having it all done for you, that's where we come in as a full service solution.
So junk removal, it's kind of a one-time transactional thing. How do you keep people like coming back?
Yeah, so we try to stay engaged with our clients. We want to create brand loyalists. And so they might need us cleaning out their garage today, but tomorrow they might have a piece of furniture that they're upgrading or a backyard patio that they're going to be transitioning or transferring, or they might be moving and then they need us for moving. So we try to make sure that we're there when they need us. We've had clients call us, you know, every quarter to do a different type of cleaning, spring cleaning, fall cleaning, getting ready for school, back to school. You know, we also have people call us once a year as they need us for moving or junk removal.
What was your role for the first year and how did you transition?
Well, the first year of business, we were doing all the work ourselves. We were hauling the junk, driving the trucks, answering the phones. One of our mentors recommended we read a book called The E-Myth Revisited by a guy named Michael Gerber. It's a light bulb moment for us where we could learn how to work on the business, not just in the business. So we started creating systems and processes for the business to grow. We didn't have programs like this online that we could, learn from. So we kind of had to figure it out on our own. We eventually started hiring people to drive the truck, to answer the phones, to greet the clients, and that allowed us to have a second truck, eventually a second location. I think one of the scariest things for a founder entrepreneur is sort of letting go of the reins a little bit. You got to do that. You got to give up control to get control. If you're going to build a business that has any level of scale, you can't do every single thing in the business every day.
To start again today with no customers, no budget, would you start with moving or junk?
Well, we started with junk originally, and I think I would do the same thing again. Lower cost of entry, lower cost of labor, and a lot less can go wrong when you're doing the work. And in some cases, we don't really leverage this in our business, but I have seen junk haulers do it. There is some value in the items that you're hauling away that you can monetize on the back end as well.
If you weren't in the moving and junk business, what niche do you think you'd be in?
I would be in the real estate business. You know, you see out here, we got beautiful homes.
Gorgeous.
It's kind of actually been a small hobby of mine to fix up nice homes and luxury homes and live in them and then move on to the next one. So I think that would be a full-time venture.
Someone's watching this right now and they're saying, hey, Nick, I see 5 moving companies in my small town. Is there still opportunity?
There's absolutely opportunity. There was hundreds of moving companies when we started. We didn't reinvent the moving business. What we invented was something that has a creative image on the exterior, a focus and intentional experience on the team member and the client interior. And that's been the key to our secret sauce. So I would tell anybody, any business that has competition is ripe with opportunity because you can come in and do it better, slightly different, and gain that competitive edge.
If you had to start over from scratch today, knowing what you know now, how quickly could you get to a profitable business again that generates great lifestyle?
Relatively overnight. That's kind of what we did at College Hunks, because with this business model, you can start low cost, low overhead. There's not a lot of fixed costs with the exception of the truck or warehouse, which at the time when we started, we didn't have. So just getting into business and generating that cash flow from day one is a reality. Technically, you could start with zero like we did with a borrowed cargo van and staying at your parents' house and eventually get your own space.
What's the biggest skill that you had to learn that they did not teach you in business school?
The biggest skill I had to learn was grit and resilience. They really don't teach you how to handle adversity in business school, but being able to handle the economic downturn like we did in 2008, 2009, being able to handle COVID like we did 5 years ago, those sorts of things are kind of unprecedented, and you got to have that grit and resilience muscle to be able to persevere as an entrepreneur. And so I think having the mantra and mindset that you know it's going to be tough and you're going to persevere no matter what is very critical. Persistence is really a key ingredient with any endeavor in entrepreneurship.
For you, what's one common piece of entrepreneurial advice that you completely disagree with?
I don't think it's sound advice to say chase your passion. If you had told me to chase my passion when I was in high school or college, I would have tried to start something that was related to basketball. And so I don't think I was passionate at all about moving or junk removal, but what I realized is I was purposeful about making a difference, making an impact, doing something creative. So I think you could reframe that concept of chasing your passion to chasing something that moves you personally, that you're purposeful about, and that you feel good about making an impact doing. And it can absolutely be anything in that, for that matter. It broadens the options so you don't, and it's simple, but it's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it. But at the same time, simplicity wins because it keeps things digestible and actionable and executable on a daily basis.
Tons of businesses have copied your branded look that is so iconic now. Has your market share changed at all with that?
No, I would say imitation is the highest form of flattery. At the end of the day, execution is a differentiator. People might look like us, sound like us, try to be us, but...
How important is environment to entrepreneurial success?
Oh, the environment you're part of is very important. Your peer group, the community you live in. I would say it's extremely valuable because you do become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
What books changed your business the most and why?
Well, certainly The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. We read that early on in our business. It felt like it was written about us. So we applied everything we learned from that. And then more recently, The Purple Cow by Seth Godin, How to Stand Out in a Crowded Industry, as well as Traction by Gino Wickman and Good to Great by Jim Collins. That would complete really the final 4 of my favorite books.
If you could summarize one principle you learned from The E-Myth Revisited, what is it?
Well, people don't fail, systems fail. You got to get great people to help develop and evolve those systems.
Sesame Street, Wall Street, it's a term you have. What's that balance between Sesame Street and Wall Street?
Yeah, so this was actually something my business partner came up with. We got to have the right balance of Sesame Street and Wall Street. What I mean by that is if you're all about the money, there's no loyalty, there's no passion, there's no purpose. People aren't going to care. They're going to be stabbing each other in the back. That's the Wall Street side. If it's all Sesame Street, it's all kumbaya. There's no accountability. So you got to have the performance-based toughness with the warm, welcoming values. And if we're falling short of our goals or a team member's falling short of these expectations, you got to sit them down and have a real heart-to-heart. You know, maybe this isn't the right fit for them. Maybe we got to get them more training. Maybe we got to find them another organization to be a part of. But that's out of compassion, not out of coldness. And so holding people accountable is part of leadership. Building leaders is one of our core values. And so you don't want people to be off-put or offended by holding them accountable, which is things that we've had to do regularly in our organization to make that part of our culture.